So, Strong Opinion Sports has a store, shirts, hoodies, everything. It's all on sale until the end of November. Go buy stuff. On Sunday, we had the Turkish Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton won. In second place, you had Sergio Perez. Sebastian Vettel also got a podium with third place. Charles Leclerc got fourth. Carlos Sainz got fifth. Max Verstappen got sixth. Alex Albon, the other Red Bull, got seventh place. Lando Norris got eighth. Lance Stroll, who was in the lead for forever, got ninth. And then Daniel Ricciardo got 10th place in the Turkish Grand Prix, I guess at Istanbul. Before we get into Lewis Hamilton, I want to give a shout out to Sergio Perez. I was really, really impressed with Sergio Perez. At the Imola Grand Prix Racing Point, kind of made Sergio take a late pit stop, and it cost him an opportunity to have a podium place. So in this race, the next week, he finally got his podium. I was very happy about that. And I guess my question is, as I've been watching Sergio Perez this year, I've been really just impressed. I've really grown to like the guy. I've really grown to believe in him. He's a good race car driver. He's just a really good driver. And if somehow Sergio Perez does not have a Formula One spot next year, it'd be totally ridiculous for Nicholas Latifi and Antonio Giovinazzi to have a drive, but not Sergio Perez. That makes no sense. It's ridiculous. And I think it's worth saying, like, you can say, well, politics and this and that, but no, do teams not want to win? If Red Bull has Alex Albon instead of Sergio Perez, I'm just going to say, Red Bull, you're not trying to win anymore. You're taking a guy you have an inferior driver when a guy is sitting out there waiting for a spot, just dangling. You're telling me you don't want Sergio Perez? I don't get it. I don't understand. He's won me over, and you would think that a team that wants to be competitive would go get Sergio Perez. If he doesn't have a drive, it's almost criminal. It makes no sense. Sebastian Vettel got third. I think the world is kind of reminded, oh yeah, hey, Sebastian Vettel's a good driver. He can still drive with the best, so that was very, very cool. Now, it was a wet day. They had also just applied a new tarmac to the track in Istanbul. It was really slippery. I don't really blame the Turkish track organizers because this race was put together last minute. It's hard to do what they did. It's a really kind of a grand feat to put together an F1 race with so little notice. However, the cars were spitting out all over the place. Turn one was crazy. I called my girlfriend down and rewound it and said, just watch the madness. It was fun, and like everybody was spinning. Daniel Ricciardo spun around, as I believe, and it was just interesting and fun. Remember, it's wet from the rain. It's also wet from the new track and the tarmac. And I remember just looking at that and going, I cannot imagine trying to race in those conditions, let alone in a Formula One car. No way. I mean, trying to drive through that cloud of water spray on that track, I mean, I don't feel like I could ever do that. Now, it's interesting, in that kind of race, you have to really toe the line between pushing the limits of the car and then remaining safe and being careful that you don't spin out or lose the car or something bad happens. And it was kind of fun watching because Lewis Hamilton did not lead for most of the race. Actually, Lance Stroll did. He led for what felt like 30 laps or something crazy like that. It was very interesting because Lewis moved up from the middle of the pack and ended up winning by a lot. But to do that, Lewis had to be patient. And in winning this race, in the process, Lewis became a 7-time Formula One world champion. He's now won his 7th Formula One championship, which is pretty crazy. That's a lot of titles. But what he deserves credit for, in my opinion, from Sunday is the way he has been driving recently without emotion. He's been very calculated, been very smart, and very, very patient as a driver. In Turkey, I watched a lot of people make overly aggressive, emotional mistakes. Lance Stroll, Max Verstappen, Alex Albon, Charles Leclerc. Lewis Hamilton has grown so much as a driver. Sunday was a masterclass where he showed off, yeah, I'm really, really great. That race on Sunday is not a race he would have won in the past. You know, he's back in the pack. There's poor track conditions. It's very, very wet. I think a couple of years ago, Lewis could have realized, you know what? I can win the championship next weekend. I'm okay. I don't really need to push myself to do this. But instead, he was patient, he was calculated, and as a result, he ended up winning by a lot. Now, I want to address a kind of a great debate in Formula One. People always say, why is Lewis Hamilton so dominant in Formula One? Is it the car or is it the driver? I want to be very, very clear. It's both. You need a great driver driving a great car. So Max Verstappen spun out in this race where he was making an over-aggressive move to try to get up into second place. And Alex Albon spun out. Lance Stroll made a costly lunge because he was mad about being passed. And Charles Leclerc got greedy on the final lap where he was pushing for second instead of getting third and ended up in fourth as a result. That kind of push for second pushed him all the way back into fourth place. And there were a lot of really, really good drivers in Istanbul on Sunday. But Lewis Hamilton was the best. Lewis Hamilton was phenomenal. He patiently waited for the right moment to strike. And when it came, he took off. By the end, with like 8 laps to go, he was ahead by 19 seconds. It's unbelievable. The distance he made and the times he was hitting when he was all by himself. And the other Mercedes, Valtteri Bottas, finished in 14th place in this race. So it's clearly not just the car. If it's just the car, why was Valtteri Bottas in 14th place? I guess, do you elevate the car or does the car elevate you? Nobody's going to win a driver's championship by being elevated by the car alone. That's not a sustainable way to win race after race after race. You need a great car and you need a great driver. You need a driver who can elevate their great car if you want to win a Formula One championship. Lewis Hamilton has the best car. But Sunday, he also showed in wet, slippery, hard conditions, he showed, yeah, I'm also the best driver. It gave him an opportunity to show off just how much he's mastered his craft. So again, let's end the long-standing debate. People want to say, he's only good because of the car. And look, certainly, it really helps Lewis Hamilton to have that brilliant car. But it's also not just the car. He lapped his teammate. I mean, if the car was that great, why was Valtteri Bottas in 14th place? Again, come on, guys. He's won 7 world championships. We've gotten to see something very, very rare and very, very cool with Lewis Hamilton, where it's an amazing pairing. You have the best driver and also the best car. How many times in sports have we seen the best player also with the best team around him? It almost never happens. And when it does happen, we get to see dominance. So I want to give a shout out to Lewis Hamilton. He gets a lot of hate. People hate on him. He's a driver for Mercedes. It's all the car, this or that. Shut up. You don't win 7 world championships if it's just the car. This debate needs to end. It needs to stop. The car makes him better. I think every F1 driver needs a good car. If Max Verstappen ever wants to win an F1 championship, he needs a great car, and he probably needs to be a little bit more patient. And maybe you could argue that the car gives Lewis the opportunity to be patient because he knows he can trust it more. If you want to do that, fine. Lewis Hamilton's unbelievable. Do not take away from his success by saying, it's all the car. Shut up. It's stupid. I hate that argument. It drives me nuts. Hats off to Lewis Hamilton. Great race on Sunday. And he's a well-deserved Formula One world champion once again for the 7th time in his career, tying Michael Schumacher. It's amazing. And I think if he wants to, it seems like Lewis could go get another one, maybe another one after that. I am really excited to watch the future of Lewis Hamilton, and we will see what he wants to do in his career. But I'm excited to watch Lewis and see what he does with the rest of his career in Formula One.